Hi guys, hope you're all keeping well. We're not doing very well over here at the moment in the UK. We're back on lockdown in Essex where I live. So, we've got to get through that. But I've got a lot of projects going on at the moment with the Aprilia. I've got another one today which I'll tell you about a bit later. I've got a lot of dust in my garage. I've been spraying the rear wheel today and obviously about to have the heaters on and everything, and there's a sort of a light dusting of black over everything at the moment. Tomorrow I'm going to have a good sweep out and dust out, but the wheels come out okay. I'll show you that a bit later. But anyway, on to the Toyan twin truck Highlift. Well, obviously I've managed to do a bit on it, but I'm trying to sort of do so many things at once. But I managed to get, I think you saw the other week, I managed to get the radio in. I think I had the receiver in this box in here. Well, when I got the igniters through from Engine DIY, they are massive things. I mean, I've taken the heat shrink off of this one to sort of show you what they're like inside. And, to be honest with you, they are too big. I mean, I can't find the Hobby King one now. I thought I brought it down, but I haven't. But the Hobby King one is kind of half that size and thin. You can lose it anywhere. But I had to put two of these, on the truck somewhere. So I thought what I'll do is I'll take the receiver out and put another box on the top here, which I've got a double-sided tape down. And I put two of these into the dummy tank. Well, when I got all the heat shrink on and everything, they sort of went in there, but it took up a lot of room, and you got double wires with two of them, double wires of everything. And I had a big problem of one of them just kept blowing plugs. I measured the voltage, and one of them was putting out nearly over 2 volts, and the other one was correct at like 1.23. So I didn't really know if I could adjust it or whatever, to change the voltage on this. But I kept messing about with it, and I took the heat shrink off, and if you can see this little screw, it's just here. That actually alters the voltage, so you can turn the voltage up by that little screw on there. So once I did that, I could go both units to around about 1.23 volts, which was fine. But once you get all that in there, it was just too bulky and too much. Bearing in mind, I had to have a relay. I have to have an electronic switch to work the relay, and I have to have the receiver, the speed controller, and all the battery wires and everything else that goes to make one of these trucks work. And putting in two of these was just taking up a lot of room. I mean, they don't look so big without the heat shrink on, but with the heat shrink on, they are massive. So what I decided to do was to see if I could work 2 glow plugs off of one of these, which you can. I've left the voltage exactly the same, and you can work two glow plugs off of one of these igniters. Now I've just set up I've sort of soldered them together just to show you, when you spin the motor out, that they both do light up. So I'll switch the transmitter on, I'll plug the battery in, let the starter motor go. Now hopefully if I hit the starter, which is this one here, you can see the plugs flowing. That's running 2 plugs. So that's running 2 plugs, that one igniter, and I've left it on for like a quarter of an hour and it doesn't get hot. I'm sure, I don't know why, that you have to have 2 igniters for this engine. It's overkill on it. If you can just wire these 2 up, you get a nice glow. you know, when I first put this on, the glow from like this one, it actually melted the rubber surround that goes around. That's my heater just come on, by the way. This one I think was set at 2.1 volts, something like that. And the glow plug was like so bright, and I think it would have blown the plug. With you know, it wouldn't have taken much to blow the plug, but it actually melted the rubber cap that goes round. That sort of, as you've seen, they go into these spark plug holes here. It actually melted them. So, you know, whether it moved, this screw moved when they put the heat shrink on, you know, and the heat shrink sort of went over it and maybe turned it. I don't know, but if you get these, you know, I would check the voltage on these. You know, just put a meter on it and check what this is giving out, because otherwise you will be blowing glow plugs. And for this twin, as I say, you can do with just one, and just wire them up as I've done there, and put them straight in, and that's enough glow on there to start this engine. Now, I try to make the wires as neat as possible. So what I've done, I've got this is a Charisma receiver box. I think it's out of my old 959 Porsche, a Charisma Porsche, a big 8 scale one. And I've managed to get most of the wires in there, as you can see. So we've got most of the wires coming out of there. This is going to be sort of down like that. Oh, and by the way, you can't run these on a 3-cell. 7.2 is, you know, I got into engine DIY and they said, you know, 11.1 is too high, so you've got to take it down. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm using one battery. I don't have to put another battery on there. It's got enough on there already. So I'm running one battery, and I'm just taking the 7 volts off of the balance leads at the moment. So I've got a little plug where I can plug that in, and that works the balance lead. And I've got another plug into the speed controller, which gives me power to the relay. So sort of, if you do get one of them, like I said, check the voltage, and also you can't run them on 11 volts, 11.1, so you have to watch that. So, like I say, I've got this little battery on there. It's still glowing. Let's unplug it. I'll show you what I did on the inside. I've got a tank on there as well. I don't know if I showed you the tank before. Well, I had it on there. I can't remember now. But I've made a little bracket to go under there. As you can see, these wires, I've got to do something with all these wires. I'm going to try and make a sort of seal that up and run the wires underneath there. I don't want to see any wires. And this one is the extension lead to go off to the steering servo. So that's got to go off to the steering servo and eventually get that in. So, right, yeah, let's go back to this box and see how I pull it inside. So what I've done is I've made the plug so you can actually, when you undo the screws, you can pull this off and you can unplug it. So this is a separate unit. So if I take the battery out, unplug the relay, unplug the igniter, so the battery is out. So you've got 2 plugs there. So I'm running, if you can see that one, I'm running that 7 volt off the battery balance lead. I know some people are going to say, oh, well, it's going to put the cells out of balance, but you only hit the starter a couple of times, and if you balance charge the battery, you know, it should be fine. So I did want to put another battery in there. And that is the one that supplies the relay. It goes into the relay. So that's them 2. So if I just show you what I've done inside here, if I just take this unit off here, still getting covered in black dust. Now, I've still got to Loctite everything yet. We're getting near to it. So what I've done is as you can see, I've put a plug on there, so I can unplug this. So this is completely, I can get to it any time I like. So I'll just show you what we've got in here. So I've just cut through, I couldn't use a screw hole, so I've just got a couple of tie wraps to go in there for the time being. So now I can show you what or how I put this in here. So in here, where's my Gregor's torch? Right, so that's the relay, that's the igniter which I've got going in there. So obviously it's not in heat shrink, but it's not touching anything. It gives me a lot of room. Under here, you can see a little turnigy switch. I'll just pop that out. So that in there, that's the turnigy switch. I don't know if I can get that in focus. It doesn't look like it, but that's that in there is a little turnigy electronic or RC electronic switch. So that, you know, that takes that on and off. So this one, the turnigy switch, is connected to this relay. So what this does is when the power comes through, it clicks the trigger on the relay, and this relay can take up to 20 amps. So then that sends it through to the igniter. The igniter is powered from the 7 volts, so that goes through there and it goes on to your 2 glow plugs. So as soon as you hit the starter switch, energizes this RC switch, turns the relay on, and the relay turns on the igniter, and that's how you get your power for igniters. Now you can imagine what it was like with 2 in there. I didn't know where I was going to put the relay. You know, I hate all wires everywhere. I like to have them all nice and neat and you know, out of the way. So I've got to do something with the back, but they're good. They're little turnkey switches. They're quite good. But it, you know, it's not manual enough to turn on the glow, so you have to have a relay in there, and that's from a motorbike shop. The guy got me that from the motorbike shop, and it works really well. And that's powered off 11 volts, so you know that works fine. Really good little thing. Again, Hobby King did do like smaller ones, but I don't know what's happened to Hobby King. They don't seem to have hardly anything now. You know, if you want a foamy aeroplane, that's about it. But you know, they used to have loads of stuff. You know, like all the little relays and electric switches and, you know, igniters and stuff like that. I don't know where it's all gone, but you know, I don't know if it's gonna, whether it's the COVID. You know, I know a lot of stuff comes from China. I know, but anyway, so that's the electronics of it. So it all fits in that, and I mean, you've got room to put something else in there if you want to. But I've made that all unplugged, so you can, you know, make a nice. You can, if you've got any trouble with it, you can just unplug it. If you sold all the wires up and everything, it's an absolute nightmare. I really do try and think these things out now, that, you know, to make life easy. That if you've got a problem with a truck, you can just unplug everything and get to it easy. And this is a waterproof box, receiver box, you know, and this is going to go on top of here. Like this just goes on the chassis. It's nice and neat. All these little wires go down there. I mean, look, I've got these inlet wires here. They're all nice and short. You know, don't all get in the way. I might cut these down for underneath there. You know, try and keep it all nice and neat. I've got a little tray I've got to fit in the back to hold the battery. Probably make some sort of little clamp on it. You know, I could put a Velcro strap on it, I suppose, but I might make myself some kind of little, a little clamp to go in there. But sort of mechanically, I haven't done much else to it. We've got like, I found some tubing that is 6 0.5 diameter, which is the outlet of these pipes here. So I'm hoping, I've ordered it, it's sort of 1.5 walls, so I might be able to bend it. You know, it's not, it's, you know, it's touch and go because it's very close to the starter there. If I can bend it, it'd be okay, but I'm still not sure how. I mean, on my other trucks, I could make a clamp, you know, like a ring clamp, split it and then clamp the exhaust onto it. And I also used to put fins in it to take the heat away, so you can make a nice little clamp and have like little fins on it. But with this one, you've got such a great big starter motor there that you've only got, you know, probably about 1.5 mil clearance. It's going to be awkward to get pipes on there, so I don't know how I'm going to make the pipes actually seal on there yet. You know, maybe I might be able to get something right at the back there looking. Yeah, still very, very close. So, you know, that is going to be a bit of a headache, but I'll order the pipe. I mean, a lot of guys are just putting like silicone pipes on, you know, but that's not very, you know, it's not me. I want some nice pipe to go on there, but how I'm actually going to fix them on there, I don't know. Whether I can make an O-ring and push them over or something like that. Or like I've said to you before, maybe just make a, try and get something to fit on there tight and come down and then join up the alley pipe, which might, you know, be an easy idea if I can make some, you know, make some of these and make a pipe, like two manifold pipes to join up onto. I'm not sure yet. The other thing I weren't too sure of, and I've been told it's okay, but this, let's just move this out of the way. These pipes for the fuel tank. Now this is how I'm doing the tank. It's going to be pressure fed from the exhaust, so I'll have to have some sort of silencer on there. I might make dual pipes, not sure yet what we're going to do. But I've got a T-piece there. It's actually like a filter come T-piece. So I'm bringing the fuel along there, into that carb and into that carb. Now, I was thinking to myself, now this front carb here may be getting more fuel than the one behind it because it's kind of got a straight line and the other one is going up there. I know it's sort of sucking, but the tank's going to be pressurised from here. So hopefully we'll have a pressure feed on there from the exhaust, wherever that's going to be in the future. So this is going to come through, and I'm hoping that the pressure should equal that out. You know, I mean, I wasn't sure whether, you know, I should have a tank with 2 outlets, you know, to each carb, because I think that would probably be better, but I don't know. I don't know what the other guys have been doing. I've seen a couple on YouTube, but I'm not sure how they've got the fuel lined up, you know. And the other thing I've been thinking about this as well is that the truck, this engine is like 7cc. Now, I remember driving this truck when it's electric, and it's very hard to keep it going a straight line. I put only a torque tune motor in it, but at top speed it was very, you know, sketchy. It's not like the clone seems to drive really well. The clone Bruiser, the 407, HC 407, that kind of goes in a straight line, you know, lovely. But this, what tends to happen with it, when you've got a solid axle, I don't know if you can see that, when you've got a solid axle, when the spring goes up, it tends to steer like a skateboard. You can actually see the axle move. You can, if I turn it around this way, you might see it better. Now look, you can see the axle turning, so it actually starts the rear wheel steer. So when it goes over a bump that way, it steers that way, and when it goes over a bump that way, the back wheel steer that way. So you know, I don't know why the clone doesn't do that so much, but you can see the shocks actually, if I push that down, you can see the shocks actually moving backwards. Can you see that? they're going backwards. So the whole axle on this side now is tilting backwards and the other one straight. So it's like a skateboard, you know. So if you lean one way, the car turns that way, and if you lean the other way, the car goes that way. But obviously, they don't do the handling any good. I mean, the front one does the same thing. If you look at the front spring, when it goes up, it doesn't actually go straight up. It goes forward, like that. Now, I would imagine if you had a shackle at each end, so, because what it is, that is solid. So the leaf spring, hang on, let's get that. The leaf spring there, right there, that is mounted solid, whereas the front one is allowed to move. So what happens is takes the easy way out, and the whole lot goes forward. So the front wheel, you can see that shock going forward. So again, it wants to steer the other way. So I suppose the way you would get round this is to put another like shackle like we got here, and to put it on there. So you've got two shackles. I think real cars I don't know if a real car's like that. Not had much sort of to do with leaf springs, but I'm sure if you had a shackle both ends, maybe, you know, it would, you know, go up together straight. But maybe it'd be worse to moving around like that, because, you know, you can move the axle around. But now this has got, you know, I was running a standard like torque shoe motor, like I think it's a 27 turn motor. And when you put it in third gear and it was whizzing along, what I used to have was the rates on the steering. So I used to have like two setups. I'd have one for like when you was going in top gear and one for when you was going in crawling gears. Now I don't think this is going to be a crawler. You're judging by the gear ratios I've got on that. So, you know, we've got a 7cc motor here, and I think I'm going to have to beef up or do something with the axle to try and get the handling a little bit better on it. The suspension on front is surprisingly, it's quite a heavy motor, but it's working quite well. You know, it's sort of not low on the springs. I think they're sort of, the clone one sort of sits low on the springs. I think this one, the Tamiya ones, might have better springs, but, you know, look how bouncy that is. You know, a lot of it, I know, is the tyres, but the clone doesn't do any of that. And it's down to these shocks. These are terrible shocks. I'm going to replace it. I don't know whether I'll replace it with the ones I've got on a clone, because the clone was like £84 for 4 shocks. But they, you know, they work really well. They are really nice shocks. So I don't know what I'm going to get on the truck here, but these ones are only friction shocks, and you know, they're just a waste of time really. I don't know why on a kit like this that Tamiya decided to fit these shocks. You know, what was wrong with putting a set of oil-filled shocks on them? You know, they've got great big thick shafts, and you know, I mean, it's just, to me, that is wrong. But that's quite a good view from the front, I think. But I've got to try and stop that, you know, axle from sort of wandering around like it is, you know, from steering. Otherwise, it's going to be a right handful to drive, because I don't know how fast this is going to go. I know it's a low revving engine, but I was sitting there working the gearing out the other night, or trying to, and I think it's going to be a little bit quick. But so, because in the crawler I've got, which is the 6-wheel, they've got a very low axle ratio. In the 407, it's a straight drive like this, and you know, that don't hang about once that goes in second gear. So I'm thinking this is going to be quite fast. Talking of gears, a good friend of mine, my mate Andy Bray, I'm having a lot of trouble. I was getting a cam. You can get the gears okay for this Kyosho gearbox, but it's very hard to get the cam set, the little cam that goes inside it. But my mate Andy actually had one. Fantastic. This is the bit I was after. This little cam set here. As you can see, that sits in the front there like that. So, you know, he sent me the whole lot. You know, it's fantastic. The guy's got so many, you know, Kyosho bits and pieces that he's great, and a great friend of mine. So I've got this now. So really, it's time. It really is time to strip this down, Loctite everything, put some fuel in a tank, and see what we got. So that's probably going to be in the next video, hopefully. I just want to see what I've got gear wise. Oh, I've got to put the front steering servo in here. I keep, I mean, that should be really easy, but this thing here with the two igniters and things, that's taken me quite a long while to sort of work that out, what I'm doing. I had a few setups with it, but I didn't like it. I had stuff stuck underneath and I just didn't like it. You got to bear in mind, this is a very narrow chassis compared to the clone Bruiser. The Bruiser sort of comes out wide and it's a lot lower, so you can put a big Revo gearbox in there and everything, I'm really wondering whether temp scale, looking at this now and the engine, whether, I mean, it's going to look nice when you open the bonnet, but I'm just wondering now if this is too small for this engine, because I know I've got some narrow stuff in there and it's sort of coming along, but I don't know if this needs to go into like an 8 scale size truck or something like that. I'm just thinking of 7cc, with this 4-stroke power in this truck. I'm sure all the axles and everything is going to be fine with it. It's the handling side of things, You haven't really got a lot of adjustment, on the suspension. You can alter the toe in a little bit, front and back, which is quite good on this. You can put a bit of toe in on the back. But some way, got to try and stop them axles kind of go, they should go straight up and down and not from, they're moving. As soon as the suspension goes up, the front ones go forward and the back ones go rearward. So, you're getting, that the truck is not going to go in a straight line. Now, I don't know why it doesn't do it on the 407. It probably does, but it doesn't seem to affect the handling whatsoever. But I just remember driving this electric, and in top gear was kind of a right handful. So we're going to have a look into that. I'm going to make some. Also, the axle's going to want to sort of do that, move around on the back. So I'm thinking of making two. Like with the ball ends, make 2 rods going down onto the back of this. Again, I've got to try and make them sort of float, because as the suspension goes up and down, it's going to actually move, it's going to want to move the wheel back and forwards. And if you lock it up, then the suspension's not going to work. But saying that, if I do have another shackle on this side and I put one of them rods on, maybe it will go up, up straight. I don't know, this doesn't seem right to me, the way it's set up here. But if I have a rod coming down to the wheel, make another shackle for this side and just see if it's going to go up, straight up and down, and it won't be a warp because it'll be secured here and here by a ball joint. And maybe I have to do something the same with the front. But the first thing I'm going to do now is get it all Loctite, get it all back, in one piece, get the electrics in it, and then I'm going to sort of whiz it up down the road, and just see what I've got, because I still don't know which, if it's going to be too fast or if everything's going to change gear. I believe the gear change is going to be the right way round, so that's a bonus. But yeah, I've got to, before I go much further, is give it a run, tune the carbs in. I'm going to tune each cylinder one at a time, take a plug out of one, get one side running, and then do the same with the other side, basically, and then just sort of tickle them a little bit to try and see what we got. But that's about it now, guys. I think I'm going to sign off from this one. I've got another project which I'll probably do another video on that a little bit later. It came today. The Aprilia is sort of coming along. I want to do a longer vid on the Aprilia, because I've actually got it down to sort of just the frame now, more or less. The engine's in it. I polished up both sides of the frame, which has come out really nice. I've got the handlebars off and the yokes. I've had the top yoke nuts anodised blue. I'm not really happy with it. It looks like someone's just painted it blue, and it cost me a lot of money, but there you go. But everything I look for on this, I try and do on this bike. Someone's been there before and they've either rounded the bolt off or they've ruined it or something like that. I mean, the handlebar pinch bolts, I had to actually sort of drill them out, and they went off like a bullet. Once I broke through the head, the heads went off like a bullet, with bang, and they sort of come out. So I got them off. the fork legs have got to come out. I've got to check the oil level and stuff and that in them. Probably have to put new seals in the brakes and everything. But oh yeah, I got a new front wheel because the other one had a big flat on it, and the wheel I got has got a different speedo drive. I was told it was the right one. You know, like the seller who was selling the wheel, there's a brand new wheel as well, said to me, oh yeah, if it's got the black speedo housing, it'll fit. So I bought the wheel. When I got the wheel, obviously it didn't fit. It's got a different speedo drive. Now I can either try and get the new speedo drive or the different speedo drive, but whether that's going to fit in my forks, I don't know. I can't see they've changed the forks distance just for putting a different speedo drive in, but who knows. The guy who sold me the wheel reckons that the wheel won't fit with the other speedo drive, and he's looking around to see if he can find me another wheel. So hopefully I can send the wheel back and he'll send me the one that's actually going to fit my bike. So, you know, it's like one step forward and a few steps back, but I'm not really in a hurry for it. I've got all the wires to clean. I've got brakes. I might have to get a new front disc. It's right on the wear limit. Like I say, seals in the brakes I've not looked at. Banjo bolts, probably Goodrich hoses, little, you know, bits and pieces like that. But basically, like the swinging arms in, the motor's in. I've checked the wiring, it all seems to be sort of fairly okay. But seeing, you know, it's had a lot of owners and people have changed little bits here and there on the bike. So, you know, although the year's 2003, we really don't know what's been done to it, you know. So I'm going to do a video on that because it's quite, you know, quite a bit I've done on it. That's why the poor old truck's being left alone, and I'm not really doing much on that. So I'm going to sign out now, guys. I'm going to probably do another video in about half an hour when this one's uploaded, and I'll see you in the next one.